Greetings everyone. My name is Jericho Donipog Mauricio, a graduate scholar currently taking Master of Arts in Teaching Biology here in St. Mary's University under the Capacity Building Program for Science and Mathematics Education of the Department of Science and Technology. And today I am going to present to you my thesis proposal titled The Utilization of Artificial Intelligence in Messenger Chatbot as a Teaching Material in General Biology 1, an Effectiveness and Acceptability Study. Topic: Enzymes in Biological Systems, Enzyme Structure and Function. But before we proceed, here is the outline of my presentation. Okay, let's now move on to the first part, rationale. COVID-19 pandemic did not just deteriorate the health of most of our brothers and sisters but has also shaken different sectors of our society. One of which is the education sector. Because of the sudden shift from face-to-face to online classes and modular lessons, the performance of the students in science and mathematics was negatively affected. That is why the Department of Education has made measures like online classes, modular instructions, radio classes, launching video lessons, and more. However, according to a news article, 2 million enrollees prefer online classes and a whopping 7.2 million prefer modules. A connected study for the Journal of Distance Education justified these numbers. It was said that students experience unstable and weak internet, lack of learning references, frequent and unannounced power outages, confusing learning contents, and more. In addition to this, Gonzalez of Rappler also cited that online classes are not cheap. It costs from 7,000 to 20,000 pesos, depending on the preferred gadget and internet costs. The students who chose modular instructions are also not free from problems. Most of these problems stem from the theoretical level of the pedagogy of learning of the students. Such are learning styles and learning interaction, which are both integral to the learning of the students. In separate studies conducted by Magulod and Dayon, it was revealed that the most dominant learning style of the students in their region is participative and collaborative, both of which are absent in modular learning. That is why the researcher, I, wants to make an alternative mode of education that lies just in between these two. A modality that is fun and interactive but does not consume a lot of data. What I am talking about is a messenger chatter robot, or simply called a chatbot. Now, a chatbot is a computer program that can be given artificial intelligence through natural language processing, meaning it can somehow mimic human conversations by analyzing their sentences and giving them an appropriate response. This research is in line with the Harmonized National Research and Development Agenda 2017-2022 under IEET and SMU University Research Agenda 2021-2026 under Key Areas 1 and 5. So, are chatbot better than other modalities offered right now by DepEd? Currently, there's no data about this, and this is something that we are not going to answer in this research. However, according to my references, a chatbot only uses 333 kilobytes to 1.5 megabytes per minute, while other online classes applications like Google Meet uses 3.2 megabytes per second, and Zoom uses 13.5 megabytes to 40 megabytes per minute. There are also others researches, not only outside the country, but also here in the Philippines, that positively supports the use of chatbot in education. However, most of these researches in the country focuses on using the chatbot more as an instructional material and not as an alternative mode of education. That is why I want to see whether using chatbot as a teaching material would be acceptable and effective on the eyes of the education stakeholders. Here are the more specific objectives of this research. We have here objective number 1, Evaluate the chatbot in the professional perspective with the help of general biology teachers, science head teachers, senior high coordinators, school principals, and education experts by administering them the Adapted Learning Resource Management and Development System or LRMDS, Educational Soundness General Evaluation Checklist or SGEC, and Evaluation Rating System, Sheet for Non-Print Materials or EARNS NPM. Objective 2, confirm the acceptability of the general biology students to the chatbot through a Likert scale checklist called 7 Characteristics of a Good Chatbot. And lastly, Objective 3, assess the chatbot's effectiveness by statistically comparing the general biology students' pre-pandemic scores through teachers' previous records and post-pandemic scores taken from the chatbot-administered tests. The research will be revolving around the acceptability and effectiveness of an AI-enabled messenger chatbot as an alternative mode of lesson delivery. To start this, we first need to prepare the chatbot. The first step in doing this is to select a lesson and write a script about it. The script will then be subjected to Flash Kincaid grade level, which will check if the words used in the script are appropriate for the grade level that the content is intended to. The script will also be subjected to the Flash Reading Is test, which will check the readability of the text. If the script did not pass one of the tests, the script would then be subjected to revision and another round of Flash tests until the script passes. By the time the script passes the test, the chatbot is now ready to be formatted. After the chatbot has been prepared, the respondents will now be allowed to utilize and check it. The respondents will be categorized into two, the professionals and the students. The professionals will constitute the principal, senior high coordinator, science ed teacher, general biology teacher, and education experts, while the students will generally mean the general biology students. The professionals will be using two data gathering tools, the SGEC and EARNS NPM adapted from DepEd's LRMDS. On the other hand, the students will be using the acceptability checklist. The students' scores on general biology pre-pandemic and post-pandemic will also be collected. In the end, the expected output of this research is an accepted and provenly effective chatbot by both professionals and students. This research will utilize a mixed method of quantitative and quasi-experimental methods as its research design. Quantitative was chosen as one of the methods for this paper since most of the data gathered will be quantitative in nature. This data will be gathered through the LRMDS SGEC and EARNS NPM that will be answered by the professionals, while the quantitative data from the students will be gathered through a 4-point Likert scale acceptability checklist. On the other hand, the quasi-experimental method will be more evident while looking at the chatbot's effectiveness. This will be done by requesting the scores of the students before the pandemic, which will be the control group, and the test scores that the chatbot will administer, which will be the experimental group. I chose to conduct this study in a few chosen SHS in Isabela province because the focal subject will be General Biology 1, which students take at a senior high level. The chosen schools are in ANHS, GRS, NNHS, MSMS, and PNU. I mainly chose these 5 educational institutions for convenience since data gathering in the pandemic will be time-consuming, financially challenging, and health-threatening. In this table, it was shown the approximated total population of the professionals and students among the 5 educational institutions I mentioned earlier. With all this data, it was speculated that the grand total would be 286. However, I will be adopting a 5% margin of error and 90% confidence level. With this, the total sampling population would be 140 people, which will be chosen using stratified purposive sampling. Stratified because the respondents will be grouped into 2, professionals and the students, and the other one, the professional group, will be further grouped or divided into 5. Purposive since we will be choosing the respondents that are most likely to participate in this study. They will be chosen with the following classification, shown on the screen right now. In this study, I will be utilizing 4 data gathering tools, namely Learning Resources Management and Development System, Educational Soundness General Evaluation Checklist or LRMDS GEC, Evaluation Rating Sheet for Non-Print Materials or LRMDS Earns NPM. 7 characteristics of a good chatbot, which is a 4-point Likert scale acceptability checklist, and a 20-item assessment called Short Quiz on Enzymes. The first 2 data gathering tools will be answered by the professionals and will cater for the research objective number 1. SGEC is divided into 2 parts. The first part is a 22-statement evaluation checklist answerable by yes, no, and not applicable or NA. If the respondent chooses to answer NA, then he or she is encouraged to expound the reason behind choosing NA. The purpose of this checklist is to see whether the instructional material is sound and appropriate. Earns NPM is a 27-statement 4-point Likert scale checklist that aims to evaluate instructional materials that are non-print or in digital software form. This checklist is divided into 4 factors, namely content quality, instructional quality, technical quality, and other findings. On the other hand, the last 2 data gathering tool, the acceptability checklist and the short quiz on enzymes, will cater for objectives 2 and 3 respectively. The said checklist is a 35-statement checklist divided into 7 parameters, namely user interface, lesson delivery or flow, lesson content, assessment experience, immediate feedbacks provided, lesson objectives or competencies attained, and artificial intelligence interaction. The first step in data gathering procedure would be included in the communication stage, where I will be giving communication letters personally or through electronic mail. In the said letter, the SGEC and Earns NPM will be appended. The professionals would be given a week to use the chatbot and a week to answer the given data gathering tools, after which I will be collecting them personally or through email together with the students' pre-pandemic scores. The data gathering procedures for students follows like this. All of the data gathering for the students will be done online. First, the link to the chatbot will be included on the communication letter given to the school. The students are also given a week to utilize the chatbot and a week to answer their tools. The short quiz will be administered by the chatbot. All of the scores will be automatically recorded on a Google Sheet. The acceptability checklist will be answered through a Google form, the link to which will be given through the teacher or through the chatbot after they have successfully answered the short quiz. In this paper, I will be using descriptive statistical analysis followed by inferential statistical analysis. Descriptive statistical analysis was chosen since I plan to organize and summarize data using numbers and graphs, making the quantity of data easy for interpretation. On the other hand, inferential statistical analysis was included because I wanted to test the hypothesis. Under descriptive statistical analysis, I included grand mean and standard deviation. Mean was chosen because even though it is simplistic and make use of quick calculations, it can show us the overall trend of the data set. Standard deviation was also chosen to determine if the dispersion of data set is high, because high SD is equal to wide distribution, or low SD means that the dispersion is closer to the mean and is the expected value set. If SD is high, then the result of grand mean will not be credited, since the presence of high data dispersion may indicate that there are outliers from the data set, and the mean will not be truly representative of the set. Putting this aside, the grand mean and standard deviation will be performed to all the dataset that this research have. The second statistical analysis that will be performed is inferential statistical analysis and will include independent sample t-test and one-way ANOVA. The independent sample t-test, which will be performed on the data gathered about the student's performance through the quiz, was chosen because I want to test whether my hypothesis will hold true or will be violated by hypothesis 1. The second test under this analysis is the one-way ANOVA, which will be performed to the mean data yielded from the SGEC and Earns NPM gathered from the professionals. This test was chosen because I want to see if there are significant difference between the means produced from the 5 independent groups, which are the education experts, principals, science head teachers, SH coordinators, general biology teachers. In addition to this reason, assuming that it was found out that there was no significant difference between these groups, then it would only indicate that a positive null hypothesis is true and will make the results of the independent sample test stronger and more reliable. So with this, this is the end of my presentation. Again, my name is Jericho Danipog Mauricio. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.